All right, well, last episode of American Artifact, we were here in Louisville, Kentucky at the Show of Shows, and this place is just absolutely massive. This is the largest military collectors event in the United States. And well, we got over here at this table, we got Andrew Biggio with the rifle, and Eric Dorr and Dale Dye. They're all doing book signings and things like that. And in the last episode, we got to walk the floor and see some pretty cool items, but there is way too much here to pack into one episode. So we're going to walk the floor today and see what else they have here at the 2025 Show of Shows.
So we are at Craig Gottlieb's table, the History Hunter. You may recognize us both as alumni from Pawn Stars. Hey, Rick.
Is it alumnuses or alumni?
I'm not sure.
I think it's alumnuses.
Okay.
I like alumnuses better. It makes me sound less intelligent. Can't go that much lower.
Yeah. So we're at your table here, and I noticed something very interesting and you said I could open this. So
yes, you can. You know, this
you have to ask, though.
This show is now called Behind the Table. I'm going to be getting that URL. I might have already got it.
So this looks like a gold General's SS Eagle, and I only know of one person that wore that, Sepp Dietrich. So is that an authentic Sepp Dietrich Eagle, or is it like a dealer sample type thing, or what?
Well, here's what I'll say about that. Everyone sees these gold eagles, and they're very rare, but everyone says they're Sepp Dietrich, and I do know Sepp Dietrich wore the gold eagle.
Right.
A couple of the tunics that have been found of his, some of them were stripped, but other ones were intact. They did have the eagle.
Yep.
However, my theory is, because Sepp Dietrich was sort of a very flashy human being, and he would see something and want it, say that's for me, and leave it for other people to sort of execute. So I think, and you want to check with Joe Watka, but I believe that there was a police regulation when they switched over the police general's collar tabs from the standard army general to the more SS-y ones, you know, they're like that. When they moved over to those tabs, I believe they also made an order, and I don't know why they're not green backed, but for a gold eagle. So I think these could have been designed for, but almost never used by police generals. However, I bet you Sepp Dietrich saw that and said, hey, give me one of those, I want them on my tunic. So, or that's just a theory.
So is SS-y a word?
Yeah, I think it's a word. It is now.
Okay.
That's pretty SS-y.
So these are SS General collar tabs.
Yeah.
Got a pin in there.
I know.
That's pretty interesting. These are highly valuable and very, very collectible. Not many people have these in their collection.
Nope.
There's only a handful of, how many?
Sepp
Dietrich would have this.
It would be less than a handful because there's only 4.
Right.
Let's do it. I think it's Sepp Dietrich, Paul Hauser, I think. You
got me on that.
No, Xavier Schwartz. And who am I thinking of? Who am I missing?
I'm not sure. I'd have to Google it.
There's only 4. Google it. But yeah, there's only 4 people who could have worn this.
So what's the price on this?
$25,000.
25?
Yeah. I'll take less, but 25.
How much less?
I'd take
like 2,500?
No, I would not. Well, you started high, I started low, but I'd take 20. Yeah. And
wow.
these aren't attributed to Dietrich at all.
Yeah.
It's just they're.
Well, they look mint and unworn to me.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So as you can see, Craig has a lot of really high-end insignia here. A lot of SS stuff. There's some early LAH.
Oh, those
boards.
are freaking cool. Look at these. I'll show you these things.
I believe that's one of the earliest styles, if not the earliest style.
Yeah, they super early. The Delitzsch examples sold at auction, I think, for like 9,000 to 12,000 euros plus commission. What I like about these is really neat. Is they have snaps.
Yeah.
And that to me means one thing. It means a white tunic However, NCOs really didn't wear white tunics. This would have been for an NCO. My only guess is possibly Berlin Olympics, 1930. A lot of white tunics worn at the 36 Olympics. Could have been a freaking waiter, or maybe a horseman, a rider, because there were a couple of SS rider units that were. I don't know if LAH actually had a rider unit. But,
They did.
No, but if they had one at the Olympic Games.
Yeah.
I know the Florian Geyer, or they had Fegelein was there.
Hermann Fegelein, who was Hitler's brother-in-law eventually, who he had killed. But what Craig meant by the Delic collection was he's a very famous SS insignia collector and probably one of the most knowledgeable guys on the subject.
Oh, yeah.
And he recently passed and his collection was sold. So anything else you want to show us in here?
Let's see.
Why don't you show us something not SS, like maybe these frames?
Okay.
Let's check them out.
I got to show you something. Wait, this is the,
okay.
Sometimes I'm going to show you this one, but then we'll show you something non-SS. But so this is a gold party pin.
Yep.
Okay. It's
now, can you tell our viewers who may not know how they would get a gold party pin?
Yeah, you would have unbroken membership. You would be two things. You'd be one of the first 100,000 party members with unbroken membership. So you paid your dues and you were early.
For 10 years, right?
If you did that, no. I don't remember when they instituted the badge, but if you were one of the first 100,000, as long as you it was about 10 years, because the Nazi Party, that's about 10 years.
I think it was unbroken membership for maybe 10 years, but I could be wrong on
It's
that.
first 100,000 with unbroken membership.
Yeah.
So, and that would probably be by default, because that's about how long the party had been in existence when this was issued.
Okay.
So, and then later, a lot of other people wanted them, and so Hitler, what did he do? He gave special ones out. So you didn't you could also get one another way. But Otto Ohlendorf was the commander of Einsatzgruppen B, I think. Let's see. He was baddest of the bad. He was basically responsible for developing the early Holocaust before they went to the gas chambers. He started the gas vans. He was also captured at the end of the war, and he went on trial, and he told everything, unabashed. Yeah, this is what we did. This is why we were doing it. This is exactly how we did it. And so because of this man, and he knew he was going to be executed, but he just told everything. Anyway, this is his party badge. And what's cool about it is, if you look in this picture, and this is a color photo, you can see in this picture that the badge is broken in the picture, and it's broken here. Now, of course, we know it's his because the number's on the back, okay? Matt, that's his party number. But this is incredible to actually see the picture. My guess is this dropped off probably when they were taking this picture. They stuck it back on because he didn't notice it. Then they sent it to the jeweler to be fixed. If you look at it, there's a little fix there.
Yep.
One other little secret, if you use a very strong magnifying glass, you can see one other thing. The badge was put back on sideways because normally the DAP is on the bottom.
Very bottom.
They didn't know. They just stuck it back
Yeah.
on. And you can see it's exact same. So, and it probably was refinished at the time as well. It doesn't look refinished, but it could be that when they fixed this, they might have cleaned it up a little bit.
Fascinating. So what's the price on that one?
Like about 18,000.
Okay.
It also has, I've got all these, this is all the correspondence between him and his girlfriend after the war before he was executed. And there's just like, they're basically love letters.
So were those sent from like
back and forth from jail.
From Nuremberg?
No, these came, I think.
Or was it Dachau?
These came from I think they came from her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's this collection of letters. I don't know. So anyway.
Very interesting.
Yeah, there you go. I thought that's really cool because so rarely do you actually see something in a photo.
Yeah.
And you can self-authenticate it with a photograph. So.
Well, I was looking at this very interesting Hitler silver frame. It still has the case with it, which is unusual. So that's
cool.
Pretty neat.
Yeah, everybody's got one. Nobody has one of those.
Yeah. I don't think everybody has one of these, but
everybody's got a Hitler Youth frame. Come on, you don't have one on your bedside table?
No, I have one in the museum.
Okay, let me just be clear. I do not like Adolf Hitler. Okay, when I'm saying that, it's sort of a joke.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Let's be clear. Hitler is a very bad man.
Very bad. So tell me about this one, Craig.
Hermann Goering signed photograph in a Hermann Goering presentation frame. It's pretty archetypical.
Yeah.
And I don't remember who it was given to. Joseph, I haven't researched him. I think I have, but I forgot. He wasn't a super duper big deal, but what's really important, it's one of the presentation frames he used, and it's an original picture and an original signature.
And sent in 1942.
Yeah, it's pretty
So
cool.
do you think they airbrushed Herman a little bit on that? He's looking a little thinner than
Yeah, he's probably high on morphine right now, but and he's super thin. So yeah, it's a very early picture of him. And
When did he get the Grand Cross of the Knight's Cross?
I don't know. You'd have to Google it.
Yeah.
I don't remember. It was probably, I think, was it 39?
I'm not sure.
Probably 39 or 40.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty neat. I like it. It's got a wooden back.
Well, Craig always has really interesting items and very high-end and very expensive items. He gets kind of the best of the best. So if you want to check out History Hunter, he has a website, and he's a longtime friend, and thank you for doing this.
I was going to give you a hug, but let's just do one of these hugs for you. Don't tell anybody we're so close, right?
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Craig.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, we're continuing to walk the floor here at the Show of Shows. And in addition to historic artifacts, one of the things you're going to see a lot of here are historic firearms. And right back here, we got Legacy Collectibles. Legacy Collectibles is not only a historic firearms dealer, but they also have a really good educational YouTube channel. So we're going to pop over and talk to Tom and see what they got here at the Show of Shows.
Okay, guys, thanks for coming to my table. I actually have History Underground, great channel. We're going to do this. We're going to do it both. See that? I've got History Underground and Legacy Collectibles, 2 mics. A couple guns that people find very interesting. One is the Party Leader PPK. Now, this is the first video I ever did was a Party Leader PPK. It has the Party Leader grip, which is actually an honor weapon. So you had to be recommended by your supervisor as a good little Nazi. And if you were given permission, you could buy this grip, buy the gun, put them together, and it's just a standard PPK with an upgraded grip. Now that would come also with this Party Leader holster. You can see it's just like any other PPK holster, but you see the same eagle as on the grip. You see it right here. And these, obviously, this is like the pinnacle of a collector of Walders. So they easily will be over $10,000 as a rig. Now I have 2 other PPKs. This one is more of the standard PPK. Now this is a police model because you see the police Eagle C. So Eagle C was the police issue. So I went to the police. It comes with a flat bottom. You'll also see, like on the Party Leader, sorry to jump around. Party Leader has a little pinky finger rest right there. So that's the finger rest. But on the police ones, they didn't care about your pinky finger, so they didn't want to spend the extra, whatever it was, a couple bucks. So that's with the pinky finger extension. It does not extend the number of rounds, but it does, supposedly, it's a little bit more comfortable on the grip. So flat bottom here. This is another police gun, but it's unique. It's a Eagle F instead of the Eagle C. And by the way, the F and the C, that was actually the first initial of the last name of the inspector. If you know American, like 1911s, they put their initials on the frame. Here they did the letter F, so we don't know what his name was. We'll say his name was Finkelstein. But that's the Eagle F, and also it's Doral. See how that's white? That's an aluminum frame on a steel body. So it's a unique variation, and this was made in 1944. So they were still producing all the way up to the end, all the way to 1945. The Americans came into the factory in April of 45, found a lot of guns, and brought them home as souvenirs. I want to show you one other very rare gun. Am I talking fast enough for you? Let's move on down. Here's a really rare find. I don't think there's another one in the show, but this is a Singer 1911. I mentioned 1911s. I mentioned they put their initials. You see right there, there's the initials of the inspector who inspected this gun. Now they only made 500 of them, and yes, it was Singer Sewing Machine that made them. And this is the only company that I ever knew of that they actually lost the contract because the production was so good. They made these. These are the smoothest, most well-made 1911s, arguably. Some people will say that's not true, but people I've talked to who really are aficionados, that's not even a word. They're really expert on 1911s. They say this is the smoothest one ever made. So they lost the contract after the first 500, and it was because they said, we need aircraft equipment, we need bombing equipment, we need sights. They needed more intricate things made. So they said, they took the contract and they gave Singer a different contract. That's the Singer. You can see it's a high polished finish, made in 1938. Now that's interesting because the war hadn't started till 39. That tells me somebody in the government knew that we were going to war. Here's the other side of it. These sell in the 200,000 range because they're so popular and so rare. But Rock Island, the record price, they sold one for about $500,000. So I'm holding a house or a really, really nice car. Anyway, that's the kind of things you see at this show. Love it. I come here every year. Thanks for watching. Actually, thanks for coming by.
All right, now speaking of guns, check this out. This is something that I feel like I need, but just can't quite afford right now. This is an Australian Vickers machine gun. It comes with 2 spare barrels and the tripod and this transit chest right here. Good grief. You gotta wonder who in the heck brought this home or how it made its way over here. Here's something interesting that I've actually never seen before. This is called a Hirosatmer. I think I'm mispronouncing that correctly, but this is an Army breathing apparatus. So if I'm assuming I would have to do some more research on this, but it has like this tank that fits onto your back, and then you have this breathing apparatus that comes around to a mask to where it's kind of like a portable oxygen system, I'm assuming. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. Always learning new things here. And also, if you come to the show of shows, one thing that's nice is they have plenty of lunch options available.
I'm with Jason Hardy, and a few months ago we did a video featuring a lot of Special Forces patches, and I referenced Jason Hardy, and he's the author of this series of books on Special Forces patches, and Special Forces teams. His website is The Dog Tag, and he also runs the Special Forces Archive. I thought it was on his badge, but it's not.
Nope.
But anyway, this is Jason, and here's some of the patches that he deals in, and he is one of the, I would say, the world's leading expert on Special Forces patches, at least in my book.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah. So these are some of the team patches that we went over in our video about Special Forces patches. But, you know, his collection is miles above mine. I mean, look at all these patches. And I love them because, you know, they have skulls on them. They're unusual. Most of them are unauthorized. And what else can you tell us about a quick history of the origin of these team patches and area patches?
The team patches would be designed by obviously the team. Sometimes they'd include the indigenous team members in the design. A lot of that, though, would always fall back to the full row movement. So they're kind of like that. The Americans would take over. But a lot of symbolism and everything that you find. The RT crate, down here, they actually, what it was supposed to be is a martini glass. The guy, like the team leader at the time, drank martinis. What else you got? This one here. I mean, there's a lot of little nuances to everything. The West Virginia is actually really kind of one of the more popular patches because of the symbolism behind it. This was like the boogeyman of Southeast Asia. You know, when your kids are acting up, you'd say, and I can't pronounce the name, they'd say, oh, he's coming to get you.
Yeah.
You know? Because one of the neatest stories I got, one of the best patches I've always enjoyed was the New York. And it was interesting because I talked to the veteran who designed it, and I told him, you know, that's one of my favorite patches. And he kind of laughed, and he said, yeah, he said, the only problem was the Asians don't understand what the Grim Reaper is.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of cool. You know, these here obviously were the different camps and launch sites.
Monkey Mountain.
Monkey Mountain.
And that's interesting.
Yeah.
And earlier you were telling me about this one over here and the symbolism. Now this isn't a team patch, but tell us about that one. That was pretty neat.
It's a plaque, and it's for the First Flight Detachment, which was attached to SOG. It was their Air Force component.
Okay.
But if you actually look at the symbolism, it's spooks fly north, the Northern Star, and bats only fly at night. So it's spooks fly north at night.
Okay, can you explain? A lot of people might not know what spook means.
Clandestine operations.
Right. Okay.
Is basically all it is.
Okay.
You know?
And you were also telling me about this really interesting grouping here with this Mickey Mouse watch. Can you tell us about that?
This came from a gentleman by the name of Randy Ray, who was killed at the Dak To launch site during a mortar attack. He was prior on a reconnaissance team. He was friendly with another guy. And, you know, guys kind of joke around. If I get killed, you can have my blah, blah, blah. And he told the guy, yo, you can have my Mickey Mouse watch, because he used to wear it. He was a California boy. And obviously, when he was killed, your partners or your friends would go through your stuff. There were certain things that could not go home.
Right.
You know? So obviously, the recon card, you didn't want the family to start asking questions. What exactly does this mean?
Yeah.
So he pulled the card and the watch and brought it home. And again, what was he going to do with it? So I bought it from him. So that's, you know, the history will stay alive with him.
Very interesting. And, you know, the special forces and some of these special units originated a lot. I mean, it evolved over the years, but the OSS in World War II was kind of the pioneers of this stuff.
Correct.
You had some interesting OSS stuff over here, and let's go check that out and explain some of that. And there's a rack in front of it, so sorry about the awkward pause, but
Yes.
so I love OSS stuff. It's like kind of like James Bond stuff almost, but
Correct. This is what they call a Dragon. It's a dart gun. It's one of the OSS dart guns. It was a CO2 fired mechanism, and it fired these small darts. Very rare. There was only 25 of these things ever made, you know,
and what would they put in the darts?
it was just there was nothing to fill in it. It was just basically a kill dart.
Okay.
Is all it was, or a wound dart, whichever way you want to look at it. And
So it was just basically a silent way to kill.
silent way. Yes,
Yeah.
basically. You know, CO2 fired. It was very how would you put it? Top of the line at that period of time.
Sure.
You know, and it broke down. The barrel breaks down.
And we're talking World War II period here.
World War
We
II
kind of
period.
jumped from Vietnam era to World War II here.
Correct.
Kind of the origins of some of this stuff.
Correct. And this here's milk, what they call milk. And I think the program was called milk. But if you take this glass bottle and you toss it in a cement mixer, in a cement truck, the cement won't set up. There's a chemical additive in here that'll break down the cement.
And that's to like keep them from building more roads when you bomb, and then
Correct.
it would,
Barges,
Yeah. Yep,
anything
okay.
like that. Correct. Different times use acid delays, which would represent different times that
Okay.
you would put in here.
So that's a timer for some kind of explosives. The different colors is a different time that it would
Correct.
take that fuse to work.
To melt
Okay.
down. Correct. It's an
Interesting.
acid.
Very interesting.
It's an acid in it. And then that's actually later on, it's a CIA prison wallet. It's actually for,
Okay. Yeah, you would insert this into some area of your body and you'd have an escape kit.
correct.
So you have
the,
to-
the quality of the tools is unbelievable.
Yeah.
The
So you have to
quality.
be a pretty dedicated warrior to conceal that, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Well, thank you, Jason.
No problem.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And check out his books. They're amazing. And there's a whole series. There's one, Max Sog volume. What volume are you up to now?
I just sent volume 16 to the printer.
16. Wow.
Yeah.
And I love the patch book. I highly recommend that. And check out his website, thedogtag.com, right?
Correct.
Yep.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jason.
Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Again, we're just walking the floor here, looking at things that catch our eye. And here's something that, I don't know, I think is pretty cool. I'm really into the First World War, of course. If you've seen some of the videos, the History Traveler series, you know that. Well, here is a set. I'm assuming this is all a set that is together of a photo frame for a pilot that's made out of airplane props. So here you can see it says Souvenir, World War, August 1914, November 1918, France. Yeah, I like little homemade items like that. Being that I just finished up a series from Guadalcanal, I'm kind of on a Pacific War kick. So anything that has to do with the Marines or Japanese or any of the Army that served in the Pacific Theater is really kind of jumping out at me. Here we see, this is all only for display, this isn't for sale, but here we see some of the gear that a Japanese soldier would have worn in World War II. And then they also have on display here Japanese knee mortar. They got a few photos in here, another knee mortar, and also some knee mortar rounds. All right, well, we are kind of wrapping things up here at the convention center. And as per the usual, we are going to go back to the hotel room and lay everything out and get a look at what this year's haul was at the Show of Shows.
We just got back from the Show of Shows, and we're back in our hotel room, and we kind of have a tradition now of doing this, of kind of putting all the stuff that we got from the show on our bed, or my bed, to show what we got. It seems like it's a little less smalls this year, but we did get a lot of flags. I believe it was last year we didn't get many flags. But I wanted to state, most of these items are going to be for resale on the website. We did get a few really cool items for the museum, but everything here was purchased except one item, which was donated, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So we have, Mein Kampfs, we got some daggers, we got belt buckles, a lot of medals, some Confederate currency. We have some Civil War belt buckles. There wasn't a lot of Civil War stuff at this show. We got a lot of Third Reich items. That seems to be one of the more prominent items at the show. A couple of really neat things. We got all these political armbands, and they're all high leader ones, the ones down this row right here. And they all came from one veteran horde. And they all have the RZM tags inside, and they're pretty mint. A lot of times those get moth holes and stuff like that. So, that was a pretty neat find. We got a few SS armbands. We haven't found them in a while. And again, flags. We got a ton of flags this year. Last year they were a little bit hard to find, but we also got some great cutoffs for my collection, or for the museum's collection. And we'll go over a couple of the items for the museum in a minute, but let me just pick up one of these armbands, because this is a high leader, an SA or political leader armband, and I wanted to show you the tag inside. So it has the RZM tag, and all these had the RZM tags, paper tag, and they're hard to find with those. Sometimes they have them, sometimes they don't, but we were really happy to get those, and finally getting some Civil War belt buckles. We haven't had any for a while. They've been out on the website for a few weeks now. But anyway, this is how we fund the museum. I buy these items from shows and from pickers and other sources to resell on the website. That money is generated to buy artifacts for the museum and keep the museum running. And we're going to go over some of the artifacts that we actually got for the museum.
Real quick before we get to the museum items, I wanted to point out this particular flag. So Eric mentioned that there were a lot of flags that were obtained for the museum store. Again, that these items are bought and resold to fund the museum, which is free to the public. But I have a particular affinity for signed flags. For one, they make really, really good research projects. So like here we have an Adrian Neal, and his address is listed there. He was from Tama, Iowa. So we can kind of see where these guys fought and what unit they were with. But all of these items here, some people might look at it and think it's a little bit jarring, and that is quite understandable. But when you look at these items that were brought home as war souvenirs, well, obviously the regime that was behind them was evil, but these are symbols of victory. So when they came to the United States, well, it's a sign that the Allies were victorious and the Third Reich and the Axis powers had lost. Yeah, so these items are fascinating.
JD just mentioned with the trophy flags or the signed flags, it's a symbol of Allied victory. But one of my other very favorite symbols of Allied victory is cut-off insignia. And at the show, we were able to find a couple of really good ones. Here is a cut-off collar, a black SS uniform, and it's an officer bullion. And you don't see full collars very often. A lot of times they just cut off the tips. And here's a Totenkopf enlisted. This is an early style uniform, and that's really extremely rare. I've only seen a few of these. And here's another Waffen SS officers cut off collar. And again, this is the early style, really nice bullion. Actually, this is an NCO, I'm sorry. And this is a Großdeutschland cuff title that was cut off of a uniform. Now, normally we don't collect a lot of Army stuff. Großdeutschland, although this is a cuff title, and most people associate cuff titles with SS, this is in fact an Army uniform, and or an Army unit, the Großdeutschland. But this was just so unique, I just thought we had to include it in the collection. And we do have some other Army cutoffs, and we have some Luftwaffe cutoffs as well. But we were really excited to get those. Those are really interesting pieces. And again, these guys would cut these off of a dead soldier. It was like a defeated enemy, almost like Native American scalps or something. They would sometimes cut the eagles off, or the collar tabs, or the cuff titles. Now, another item that I was pretty excited about was getting this helmet, which was the 907th Glider Field Artillery 101st Airborne. And we have a lot of airborne helmets in the collection from the 101st with the different symbols for the different infantry regiments. But this is a Glider Field Artillery. Now General McAuliffe would have one of these with the tick up to the top, which would mean division artillery, where this one is at the 3 o'clock symbol, which is the 907th Glider Field Artillery Battalion. And it's a swivel bale, so it's a little bit later war helmet. But again, we didn't have one of those in our collection, so that's going to stay in the collection along with the cutoffs.
Here are another few items that were picked up at the show, and this one is exceptionally unique. So one of the things that we really like are pieces of veteran art. And here you can see this vest. This is from the Korean War, and I would almost argue that Korean War items are more rare than World War II. This is from a guy who, I guess his nickname was Tom, last name Graney. There you can see the U.S., the UN, and the South Korean flags. He was in the 1st Marine Division, and then we got the Eagle, Globe, and Anchor there, and then he was in the 1st Marine Brigade, Korea, 1950. So that was a really kind of a cool find at the show this year. And another really interesting find was this Japanese flag from World War II. So it's the Rising Sun flag, and you can see it says on there, to dock shore and all from Doc Shore Jr. So maybe, oh, I'm sorry, here it says going at 1231. So we're not exactly sure what that means yet. It's perhaps sent from a son to his father, and here it lists all of the places where this veteran was. So Guadalcanal, New Guinea, also seeing Biak, and then there's Leyte, Okinawa. So my guess personally is that this is somebody who was in the Navy, because you don't have any Marine or Army units who hit all of those places unless he's including like his training. But still, that would be a little bit, I don't know, that would be a little bit curious. I think most likely we're looking at a Navy veteran who decorated this flag and sent it back.
A few more items that I picked up at the show that I'm particularly excited about are, this is a Japanese flag, and it has kanji all over it, and you know, it's pretty typical of ones that you see. Sometimes we'll get these on the website, but this one's staying in the museum for the reason that this was actually documented from Iwo Jima and captured at Iwo Jima. It has a bunch of paperwork, and the neatest thing is, and it's hard to see in this photo, but we have an enhanced version. We're going to try to enhance it more. But in the enhanced version, you kind of see that it is the same flag. But you have a bunch of Marines here holding it at Iwo Jima. And on the back of this photo, it has a bunch of names of some of the guys in the photo. And so you know who these guys are. And that's unusual. I mean, usually these things have hardly any history with them. And you know, just the other day, I mean, 2-3 days ago, it was the 80th anniversary of the landing at Iwo Jima. So it was very much on my mind, and I saw this, and I knew the guy who had it. He wanted a pretty astronomical price for it, but I was able to talk to him, and he knows the museum. He's been to the museum. I was able to talk him down a little bit, and so I picked that up for the museum. We're really happy to get that. The one item that we did not purchase at the show, JD brought it up for me because it was actually sent to him, is this engineer flag from Iraq. And this was donated to the museum, so this will always stay at the museum. And it says, this flag was originally from our company commander, which he took the flag home with him in 2004. I met him at Fort Riley, Kansas. We were 1st Armored Division when the 1st Infantry was in Germany. We were one of the first soldiers at Fort Riley when Big Red came back. We had a changeover ceremony when we went from armor to infantry. After that, the flag was with us in the C Company Sappers 2-1 BTSB Camp Liberty in Iraq in 2008 and 2009. Some of the names on the flag are service members that are no longer with us. They lost their lives serving our great nation. After that, the flag was kept by myself. Recently, we had our 20-year reunion in which we flew the flag in memory of our time, our time when we spent there and the lives that were lost. Our company is now proud and honored to have Big Red inside the Gettysburg Museum of History. This has been a great honor and pleasure, and I'm deeply humbled. Thank you for this opportunity. Well, I'm deeply humbled by this, and I thank the donor of this flag, and we really appreciate it. And we've been wanting to expand our Iraq and Afghanistan and Korea items, which we don't have a lot of. So we really appreciate this. This really means a lot to me, and we will take good care of it at the Gettysburg Museum of History. Now, there's one other thing on the bed that we need to address. Now, we talked to Jason Hardy at the show, and we did a little bit about some of his Special Forces and OSS items. And we talked about the Mickey Mouse watch from the guy that was killed in action. And it was just such an amazing artifact that I asked Jason if he would sell it to me. And of course, he gave me a price, and I said, well, you know, I got him down a little bit, which is hard to do. Jason's a tough guy to get down on prices. You know, he's kind of fixed on his price because he has some of the rarest stuff around. But he did. He let us have it, and I told JD I'm taking that back to the museum, and he actually said, Eric, if you weren't going to grab that for the museum, I don't think we could be friends anymore. So I think JD was thinking the exact same thing I was, that is a spectacular grouping and it tells a story. And I mean, the Recon card alone is super rare, but to have the Mickey Mouse watch and his team name was, or not his team, his code name in the Recon team was Mickey Mouse. I mean, it's just a really interesting grouping. You just don't see stuff like that from Vietnam very often. The Recon SOG guys, you know, this stuff just doesn't get out, and we're really happy to have that at the museum as well. And also, you know, I have to say again, we're so happy that Dale Dye came in with us and was signing the copies of Fierce Valor. We've had such an amazing time hanging out with him. He was a big hit at the show. We sold out of books like right away, and I should have brought more, but yeah, he was a big hit. We had a lot of good times talking, and I'm just incredibly grateful to Dale, and I'm very happy that he accepted our invitation to come on board with us and advise us on our advisory board. So thank you, Dale Dye. It means a lot to me to have you on the team.